Hey everyone, this is Melody from melodies-makings.com, and I am here today to tell you about how to knit in the round. So if you will reference my very first segment of my Learn How to Knit series, where we go back to talking about the different kinds of needles. We have double pointed needles, we have circular needles, all of those types of needles. There are so many different ways to knit in the round, and each type of, or each method of knitting in the round has a different type of needle. So today I'm going to show you two different methods of knitting in the round. One that I used to do and I'm really not very practiced at today, so there's your disclaimer. I don't do it anymore. I'm not very good at it. And the other one is one that I use on a daily basis. I do feel that it's important for you to try each method and see what works for you, because everyone has a different style of knitting, a different feel for knitting, and you may just find that the thing that I like doesn't work for you and the other one does. So this is a double pointed needle. It has 2 points on it, which is why it's called double pointed, and these are used for knitting in the round. Generally they come in packages of 4 or 5. I like to only use 4 needles when I'm knitting on double pointed needles. So that is a general preference, but I'm going to show you how to use 3 needles for your actual project and 1 needle that you're knitting onto. So what you do is, just like in every other method, you have to cast onto your needles. So today I'm just going to cast on 5 stitches onto each of my double pointed needles, just the same way that I taught you how to cast on with this crochet method back in, I believe, segment 2 that was. Now the tricky part is you've got to do it onto all 3 needles. So I've now cast on 5 stitches onto 1 needle, and I have to go ahead and pick up a second needle. You guys are really going to see my skills tested here, because I seriously haven't done this in probably 2 years. So what you do is you line them up so that you're going, and you just continue to cast on just like you were onto that first needle. Just kind of try to keep the first needle out of the way, which I know it feels like you're working with a million strange objects when you first learn how to do this. Sorry, I'm also trying to do this through a camera, which isn't always the easiest. Okay, so now I've got, you can see 5 on my first needle, 5 on my second needle, and they go they go the exact same way. So the inside, where I did the inside cast on, is all on the same sides of the needles. And I want to make sure to push them to the middle so that I'm not going to drop them off on accident. And then I'm going to grab needle number 3 and do the exact same thing that I just did with needle number 2. Line it up as if it were needle number 2, except cast onto it instead. And as you can see, this obviously takes practice and time and patience. So please don't get frustrated on your first go at it. And please don't laugh too hard at me on my go at it. Okay, so that is how you cast on to double pointed needles. You can see I've got 3 double pointed needles and they're all cast on just like that. So you literally cast on as if you were going to be doing it onto one needle, but you add in those needles in the middle of your stitches. And generally just dividing the amount of stitches that your pattern asks for you to cast on into 3 will work just fine. And we'll talk about the way to divide them up as you're knitting them later on. So that is how you cast on, and I'm going to go ahead and make a second video for how to join in the round. So make sure you look for that on my blog at www.melodies-makings.com in the blog section.